Since early 2002, the U.S. dollar has lost about a third of its value against other major world currencies. Some market watchers see an even more precipitous drop in the dollar's future. One of those men, Peter Schiff, he's the founder and president of Euro Pacific Capital and author of Crash Proof: How to Profit from the Coming Economic Collapse. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Strong words, economic collapse. What's collapsing, and when's it going to happen? Why?
Well, I think the dollar is going to collapse, and with it, basically the American standard of living and the way of life that we all are accustomed to. See, American standards of living or purchasing power are a function of what the dollar will buy. Because, we exchange our dollars for the goods that the rest of the world produces. We run an enormous trade deficit every month, every year, and what we're doing is we're exchanging the paper that we print for the goods that the rest of the world produces. But once the dollar really starts to decline, we're going to have to send many, many more dollars abroad to import the same quantity of goods.
Since we went off the gold standard more than about 35 years ago, we have had major deficits. We've had major trade deficits as well as government deficits. And the dollar, while it's depreciated in the past few years, is still a major world currency, and it's gone through fluctuations in the past. Why should now be any different than the past?
Certainly these problems have been a long time in the making, but I think now we've progressed to a point where, we've really run out of room. You can see internationally, for a time we were able to fund our trade deficits and current account deficits because there was sufficient private demand abroad for U.S. financial assets. That demand is now insufficient. What's funding our deficits now are foreign governments, foreign central banks, who are buying the dollars that their own citizens don't want to hold. And I don't think this can go on forever, especially when you see a lot of rumblings from a lot of the smaller central banks that they want to start diversifying out of dollars. They're getting worried about being overexposed to the U.S. dollar. And so I think our ability to rely on foreign governments is going to come to an end soon.
What's the tipping point going to be? When is there going to be some major event or some cataclysm that brings the dollar down to the levels you're talking about?
There's so many straws that could break the camel's back here. It's, you don't really know which one it's going to be. I tend to think it could be related to the bursting of the housing bubble and the recession that's going to ensue and the box that the Federal Reserve is in.
When the dollar does collapse, as you say, wouldn't then it be a good buy for foreigners to get into the market, a good time for the foreigners to start buying dollars?
Assuming it stops falling and you can figure out where the bottom is.
So your investment thesis is for the actual decline, not for, this isn't going to be, we're not going to be walking around in burlap sacks.
Well, I don't know if it'll get that bad, but I know the dollar is going to lose a lot of value. It can lose half its value, and then it can lose half its value again. You don't know.
Sure.
But the important thing is not to find out with dollars. And what, we're helping our clients do at Euro Pacific Capital is understanding what the dollar is going to do, and understand that if the dollar is going to collapse and lose value, then it's impossible to make an investment in the United States that's dollar denominated that you would consider conservative.
Let's hear some investment ideas then to profit from the dollar's collapse.
Well, the idea that, first of all, is to protect your wealth and preserve your purchasing power. And the way you do that, at least the way I've been doing it, is helping my clients to purchase investments around the world, mostly in the developed, mature markets in Europe and Asia, buying conservative income-producing assets such as utilities, such as commercial property trusts, other low PE, high dividend yielding companies, a lot of raw material companies, mining companies, oil and gas companies that pay good dividends, but more importantly, the income streams are denominated in euros and Swiss francs and
Singapore dollars. ETFs that you can buy that would give you some access to these markets? Like
there are some ETFs
EWL would be Switzerland, for example? Or?
There are some ETFs here. In general, though, I find a lot of the ETFs own more of the large cap exporters. They're not as pure play. They're a little bit more involved with the U.S. market and exposed to the U.S. consumer. You don't want to do that. You want to insulate yourself as best you can to a collapse in the U.S. economy.
How about buying gold? Gold.
Yeah, that's another part of our strategy is to put some of our assets in precious metals, particularly gold. I think that you're going to see a return to gold globally as a form of savings, as an alternative to fiat currencies.
I think many people already have.
Well, the smart people.
Yeah.
But eventually more and more people are going to come to this conclusion that they cannot put their trust in central bankers, because central bankers, they're politicians with printing presses, and they use them, and they're going to debase the money.
All right, so go foreign and buy some gold.
Correct.
All right, Peter, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
That's Peter Schiff. He's the founder and president of Euro Pacific Capital and author of Crash Proof: How to Profit from the Coming Economic Collapse. For more investment ideas and analysis, including hard asset plays, check out the personal finance section on Forbes.com.